Well, happy Monday, everyone. It's time to declutter. This is Austin, your host, along with my co-host, Dr. Andrea Adams Miller from the Red Carpet Connection. And now we have this ongoing thing, like, where is Dr. Andrea today? It's like this whole car episode. So where are you at this particular time? Where are you traveling?
Today I'm at the Black Rock restaurant, which is fun because they put me up on their TV today. And we are out to dinner in Toledo, Ohio.
Toledo. Okay, so you know Toledo, Ohio well, but let's talk to you who's tuning in. Declutter. Is there genius in your clutter? I have a confession to make on today's show. And if you're tuning in now, I got a shirt that says, not to call out the brand, but it says, just do it, don't quit. Maybe that's a message we could think about. Because Dr. Andrea, I've talked to people about this. And
this is a very important topic.
It is. And I want to talk about, before we bring on our star of the show, there's this thing that people said, they're wondering if they're doing it right. And then they're like, I've had people say, well, I move things from here to here, and then I get confused, I get stuck, and then I stop. And it's just this thing that kind of like gets bigger and bigger. So we're going to be bringing on Star Hansen here momentarily. And she's been at this for 20 years. So I'm excited and the thing is, she has a different approach that I admit I don't know fully, but I'm very intrigued with some of the things that I've learned about Star so far.
Good.
Dr. Andrea, what are you thinking about this? And how do you think this relates to somebody resetting their life?
Oh, it is so important. As everybody, I have a whole bunch of friends that are in the process of selling their houses and moving, and they're going through this transition of what to do with their stuff and where to be. I know for myself, I recently had to move from my office. It's been at another facility, and then now my husband's ready to take over that facility and I need to move again. And so here I'm going to have to be, doing the whole keep, discard, donate, sell myself. So I'm super excited she's on today because so many people are looking for this at various levels of their life.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I think about, at least for me, and as far as like midlife oasis, resetting your life, I found that it's really hard to part with stuff. And then we hold on to it. And then our energy, our motive goes down. Like we lose the drive to get rid of it. And so we build bigger houses, we get storage bins, we get more creative. And then I like, for me, it's like, what happens to your energy when you walk into that room? And this is one of the things. So I'll just put like my big confession. And by the way, I just want to invite everybody to share this. Please share this with somebody who needs to declutter. So my big confession here tonight is that I am guilty right now. For many of you know that I walked away from my corporate job of 19 years back in 2019. I went on this venture. I've created a lot of chaos in my life and confusion.
Yeah.
And that means like physically, I have some things that I need to let go of. So I'm excited to hear from Star tonight so admittedly, this is not just for you, the audience. And I want to welcome in our audience, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku. And this is all thanks to E360 TV, our partner. And if you're getting us on the podcast, I want to invite you to come over to the YouTube channel so you can get the visuals, so you can make this more immersive for you, because there's going to be some great content shared tonight. Dr. Andrea, before we introduce Star, what are you most excited about or most eager to? Is there a topic that you're eager to kind of bring to the light?
Yeah, I'm eager about your surprise and the fun things that happened for you this week that I can't say because I want to give you the pleasure of sharing when you're ready. So all I can say is Austin had some really cool things manifest, and I can't wait for you guys to hear all about it.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking that maybe we could tease that, share a little bit this week. And then next Monday we could do like a deep dive, because it really will pick up the whole show. What happened to me?
So cool.
I went up to the Henry David Thoreau basically location, if you know Henry David Thoreau, and I'll share this quote. Actually, this is a great time. Here's a couple that I really love. If you have built castles in the air, I'm paraphrasing, do not be distressed, because that's where they should be. Now put the foundations under them. And then this is my favorite one, which was really a pillar of Flashpoint. And that is, when one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with unexpected success in common hours. And that's exactly what happens to me. And by the way, this was written in the 1800s. So clearly it's fill in the pronoun. But the point is, when you move in the direction of, there will be a miracle off the radar that you can't ever predict. You will never see it coming. But when you move in that direction, it'll happen. And let's bring that into the clutter world, because you may think, and how am I going to do this? Let's get you moving tonight. So Dr. Andrea, before we get in, I'm just going to ask you to, if you would do the honors to introduce our star, which is Star Hansen, 20-year clutter expert.
Absolutely. She is a Clutterer Whisperer, certified professional organizer. She helps successful people who feel like a hot mess, which we're all feeling the hot heat right now, to figure out why their clutter isn't going away so they can finally clear the chaos that you were just talking about and live a life of freedom and joy and peace and space. She's the organizer you call when nothing else works. She's been helping people since 2004. She's been part of a boutique organizing firm called Reveal by Star. She has online courses to help people and coaching to help them set themselves free. She has Chaos to Calm organizing community so that people can have other people there to help them as a support system. She's very multi-layered. She talks about mind, body, spirit, and space. So, just really allowing to see people where they've been. She's been featured on OWN, TLC, HGTV, Style A&E, NPR. Just a wonderful contributor to O Magazine, to Women's Day and Oprah.com. She's funny and thought-provoking. She did a TEDx in Tucson, and she lives in New Mexico, and she'll be telling us a little bit more about that in her world as well. So I'm so pleased that she's joined us. She has been on over 30 different productions. So we're so pleased that she's honoring us here. So Star Hansen, welcome to the show.
Yeah, let's bring on Star right now. Welcome, Star.
Thank you. So happy to be here with you all.
Yeah, this is great.
And we got some shout outs already that people that are listening live. Star is fantastic and saying your TED talk was amazing. But I just want to add something here, because I love this. Your book title, and we'll keep it clean for the show and the ears out there. Why the F am I still not organized? But when you get frustrated, don't be honest. An expletive. Why the F am I still not organized? Might slip out. And the other thing I wanted to kind of hit on here. Come on, Star. Embracing the power of your clutter, using chaos to unlock your greatest potential. How is that even possible? So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I can't wait to unpack the genius hiding in your clutter.
Now, before what we do on the show, because I love to learn people's stories, because this is about like resetting your life. We focus on midlife, but that's all relative, because people want to reset at 30, 25, 50, 60, 70. I've had like people even older than that go into a different direction. But we'd love to learn, if you're willing to share a little bit about your story, because I'd love to know how you got here 20 years in the space. Like, what was going on before? What led you to this? And then from there, we'd love to pick your brain and get as much as we can. Are you willing to share a little bit of that?
Sure, of course. Yeah, so this was completely by accident, because today the organizing industry is huge, right? It's giant and only getting bigger every single year. But at that time, it was very small. There was just a handful of people doing this, and it had been around for maybe 20 years. But I was acting, and I just wasn't loving it. Like, I was booking work and I was working actively, but I was coming home from set a little bored, a little like not excited. I was like, wait, this was my life dream. Wait, why am I not more excited about this? And I just kept saying, like, to the universe, like, okay, I want my purpose. I want my passion. I want the thing that I want to do, rain or shine. And the inspiration I kept hearing is, you're a healer. You're a healer. And you know how the universe is. It's cute. It's like, I'm going to give you a riddle. Solve it. Like, it's really fun. But so it kept saying you're a healer. And while I was in acting class, they asked us to do this assignment, which was come up with 50 ways you can make money without getting a day job. And because they were trying to get us out of that starving artist mentality. So one of the things that I came up with was this, cute little tax organization box for your tax receipts. They would organize it as you went along through the year.
I need that.
Is like I still love that box. I sold like maybe 2, but I got several clients from it. And I had no idea organizing was a thing. People just said, wow, you're really good at organizing. Can you help me? And I went to their house and helped them. And, within a year, I was doing this full time. And it was just, it's a lesson in when you're doing the thing that you're supposed to do, the universe meets you and like propels you forward in a really beautiful way. It's like not all on our shoulders.
I love that. I want to highlight something here, which I really love. And I feel like when you are in alignment, there is that, you call it the universal flow that happened to you. And I think the lesson there is that when people reach out to you and ask you for that superpower, that's when you know you're onto something. Especially when you're creative, you think it's the thing that you created and you bring it out there. But it's this little thing that you've been kind of doing, whatever, like in this case with you, and then people were starting to ask you. So you got and by the way, the tax information. So you may be able to sell a lot of tax boxes. I don't know.
I don't do it anymore. I should make one and just go retro with it, be like, oh, you can get this. But what's funny? It's that same thing that got me into this industry is the same thing that drives my business today. Like I always tell people, look for the yes. So you look at your clutter and it feels overwhelming. You feel totally stunned. You're not sure what to do. You're not sure where to go. You kind of know what you want, right? Like Andrea's moving, like it's, like we kind of know like generally where we're going, but then we get overwhelmed in the details. And I always say, look for the yes, because somewhere in your clutter, there is a big old open-hearted yes. Something in your clutter feels less overwhelming, less stressful, more exciting. And that's what we want to start doing. We want to look at our clutter in the way that we kind of like curate our own experiences. If you turn the TV on and you start flipping and you're seeing nonstop violence and aggression, and you're feeling like you want a little uplift, you're going to keep going until you find something that makes you laugh, until you feel a little lightness. So yes, like we just want to be like looking for the positive, because it's the drum, my friends, that I will beat until the day that I die. There is genius in your clutter. And it is such a powerful thing when we reframe that, because it goes from, like Austin, I wrote down, you said guilty, chaos, confusion, right? We have such a negative viewpoint of clutter, like chaos is bad, clutter is bad. But what if I told you that the springboard to your next 10 adventures are in that chaos, are in that confusion, that seeming confusion? It's all in there. It's just waiting for you to like have the right divine timing moment to like, wow, take you into the next level.
So this is great. I'm gonna play like a little polarity here. So first of all, to the audience, I love that you said, I'm going to show it up again. Look for the yes in your clutter. So I want you to dive deeper there. But I also want to say, what was your yes to say, was there a moment that you said, wow, this is like where you had a breakthrough that this was going to be a big business for you? Was it a specific client? Was it a moment? Was it a gradual unfolding? Like, how did it unfold for you to get into this space? And then let's go deeper into this yes for that person's like, okay, that sounds great, but nothing's saying yes. It's all screaming,
Yeah, so well named. So for me, it just felt like going home. It didn't feel like I didn't have an explosive aha moment. And in fact, the moments that I have the greatest amount of success are like the least comfortable moments for me. Like when I'm like on a giant TV, when I'm like sitting across from Tyra and it's going live, or when I'm doing the TED Talk. It's so different because it's a job, right? You're like doing a job. So you're not thinking about, this is the glory of my life. You're like, I need to hit this note. I need to remember this thing. I need to, right? We are in such a different mode. I'm not in my joyful reveling moment. I'm in the like completion, execution. So there wasn't that. It just felt like every minute that I have been welcomed into someone's home, every single time someone said to me, this is my most shameful thing that I don't want anyone to know, but I will show you. Like my heart cracks open. I'm like the Grinch. I broke the heart measure every single time, because it's such an honor to be invited on this journey. It's so powerful.
So it's kind of like what I'm I like to be visual, especially for those on the pod. It's kind of like warming up to a cozy fire, right? As opposed to being being on the mountaintop. It's like you're just cozy. You're or wrapped in a blanket. Like it just feels
yes, with like a lover by your side and a hot cup of tea, and you had a great meal. It's like from every element, like every direction is comforting and soothing. And it's like when I tell people, because a lot of people that I work with, we start in their homes, we go to their productivity, they take me to their office, I work with their spouse, I work with their kids. Like it's a family event, it's a whole community event. But like when we're really doing that, it's like, what we want is for this to permeate every area of our lives. We want to like find that kind of yummy deliciousness everywhere.
Yes, and I want to. I love that yummy deliciousness. That's a great word.
You want to go into the yes?
Deliciousness. So I want to go to Dr. Andre here in a moment, but because I want to hear, I do want to get into the mind stuff too, of what people do up here, what we do up here, and how that translates to our environment. Because I always believe they're, they're connected, and I definitely want to get into that, but. Dr. Andrea, I want you to jump in on this. What do you think about this? This find the yes in your clutter.
Well, I'm going to give a personal anecdote because I was talking with a friend of mine today about where to start with all of this, because my husband announced on Sunday that he is going to be moving into the building that I need to be in tomorrow. And so that means he's taking over the space that I need to be now out fast. And that always just puts undue pressure on people. And what I realized is that, like, if I look back at like watching hoarder shows and stuff like that, they always shove people and make them work so fast. I don't think they have time to get to the root and core of the problem, which could create the chaos again. And so I was really thinking about that. But your yes part is, I thought, well, I want to, even though there's other things that probably should theoretically take more priority, I love books. And what I did say is, I want my books that are important so bad that I'm willing to donate or give away books that I have that don't mean as much to me, so the books that have high value can come into my house. And so that became something I'm actually looking forward to. So there's a good example of your yes right there.
Totally.
Okay. So if you're listening live or you're in the chat and you're listening to this, you said, if a yes popped up for you, like, what is it in your clutter where you say, yeah, oh, that feels good, I'm looking forward to going through or dealing with that particular area, a drawer, an old things you were saving. I've had some conversations about people like, this doesn't serve me anymore, and they're letting it go. But I also want to get into this idea of the genius in the clutter, because I think we've hit on some general tenets, but I have a gut feeling that Star does some very unique things that are probably out of the box a little bit. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, this genius in the clutter, like, where's that genius at? Like, or what could you speak to about that?
Sure. Yeah. So at the base of it all, the root of it all is, if you have recurring clutter, and recurring clutter is clutter that just keeps coming back over and over and over again, right? This is clutter you cannot get rid of. This is different than like, my kid came home, dumped a giant pile of stuff on my counter, and now I've got to solve it. Or even like Dr. Andrea, it's like, you've got this move. That's clutter in the fact that it's like, it's a one-time thing that you've got to execute and get it done, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if some of those boxes are still unpacked 2 years later, that's the recurring clutter, right? So what we're looking at is recurring clutter. And every single time you have recurring clutter, it is serving you in some way. That pile that keeps coming back is back for a reason, because our clutter is an external demonstration of our inner selves. It's basically us having a conversation with ourselves. And so if we talk and we don't hear it, what do? We don't just walk away, we repeat ourselves. And, if you got some toddler tendencies, you're going to get louder each time, aren't you? It's like going to keep growing and growing and growing. And so that's what we're looking at, is like, what is the need? And there's at least 9 needs that clutter solves. Like one, for example, being, I had this client who we could not get his office to stay organized. I'm right there by his side. We're organizing it over and over and over again. Every week, it's like Groundhog's Day. He just will clutter it back up the minute we get it done. So we had to dig in. What's really going on? He had a home invasion. There was a part of him that felt terrified to be organized in his office, because if he was organized, burglars could find his possessions. They could find his valuables. So until we named that, and until he found a
Yes.
security system that felt really good and a safe that felt good, he would not let that clutter go. And the minute that we did, the clutter stayed gone. And I mean, I've got dozens of those stories of people who it's like, once we know the root of your clutter, then it just melts away almost effortlessly. It's really powerful. But it's terrifying. It's a brave space. We're just going to name it. It's a very brave path.
Yeah, but I love the fact that you said name it. I think, that's a really powerful thing that comes up in a lot of different themes and modalities, but I've never heard it in relative to clutter. And what you're saying is, you name this thing, this fear of this home invasion, you put a name to it. And then once you had a name to it, now you can bring it into the light and how it connected to why this particular person was cluttering the desk. And I would venture to say that after that, like, things improved.
Well, yeah, but what we're doing is we're naming it not just for the sake of processing, which for some people they do need just to name it and sit with it. Because for some people, the greater need is they want to leave their spouse or they want to change career.
Ooh, wow.
These are not small things we're dealing in. It's not like, I like the color red more than purple. It's like, these are big life changes. Like, talk about midlife transformations. And so really what it is like, once we name it, my goal is to find, I always tell people, like, once you know your need, I want you to brainstorm 10, 20, 50 ways that you can get that need met without clutter. And once we start digging into that, that's where the magic is. That's where the magic comes from, because
I love this.
What you need, and now you're finding solutions.
This is what I thought I was going to get. So for you're listening live or playback, you can hear right now, hopefully you're getting, this is not your standard, get these types of bins, put these types of piles. Like, this is a much deeper dive. And I would venture to say that with your work over the last 20 years and all the platforms you've been on, you've probably have uncovered some really deep stuff. And I would love to see, maybe I can get that, without naming the person, obviously. But before I do, I want to give TJ a shout out here, who helped us rearrange this. That's Tony. And
love Tony.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to have less to manage. So, and then we have Michelle on here. Michelle, I'm glad you're here. Looking to dive into piles of paperwork. If that's your yes, wow.
I will say, can I throw out a cautionary tale for you, Michelle, and anyone else? Because people are always like, I'm going to start with paper. And I always say, please, for the love of everything holy, do not start with paper. Don't start with paper. Don't start with memorabilia. Don't start with pictures. The reason why is, so imagine you've got like a banker's box, right? Like, within that one box, you have thousands of items. So you're going to go through that box and you're just going to have one less box in the house, and you're not going to feel that dopamine hit. I'm not saying you can't do it soon. I'm just saying, like, don't start there, because it's very anticlimactic. You'll work for like 12 hours and be like, you'll feel like, like, I don't know, Dirty Dancing. I carried a watermelon. Like, I did a box. Like, it's not going to feel really exciting. You're not going to feel that hit. Your partner's not going to come in and be like, wow, the house looks amazing. They're going to say, what did you do? And then you're going to try to explain to them this box, and they're not going to get. So it's, and I'm not saying we do it for other people, but do something that really gives you a visual shift. And for some people, I say, don't even start doing the practical organizing. Like, so when I teach people, when I work with people, I teach them there's 10 steps to getting organized. I teach you the 10 steps because most of us were not taught how to get organized. So I teach you those 10 steps, and then we practice. I want you to practice in your junk drawer. I want you to practice under your sink. I want you to practice by your bed. I want you to practice in your purse, and work your way up. Because if you're trying to like Austin, you used to be an ultra marathon runner. Did you start your first marathon, like your ultra marathon? No, was it an ultra? No, it was like a 5K.
Well, not only that, I tell people, first thing I did is map out a course in my neighborhood.
Yes.
Didn't even run. I think I rode a bike or I walked. Yeah. Then I did some run walking. So it's right in line with what you're saying.
And, and just to throw one other thing in here is, like, the number one thing that deters us from making progress is that inner critic and those really big emotions. So what ends up happening is we say, I'm going to organize my whole garage this weekend. I'm going to do that whole giant, massive thing in 24 hours. Look, if I was there, I wouldn't be able to do that And I'm a professional who's done this for 2 decades, right?
And,
So
and you're not emotionally attached to everything there.
Right.
totally. Yeah. So it's like, but people do that. They're like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to climb Everest of my clutter. And then they beat themselves up. And then they're like, organizing is the worst. And I just say, start small, like throw a song on that you love and just organize for one song. Like what we want to do is we want to change those synapses from being torture to being delightful and playful. And how can, like Dr. Andrea said, it's like, I want to do my books. I'm excited about my books. Like I have my why. And it's just such a beautiful place to be when we can be tapped into that. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to take a quick momentary pause, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get some final shares and final tips from Star. And we'll take your questions if you're live. And by the way, if you are on the playback, I invite you to go over to the YouTube channel and just follow, because I have a show every Sunday called Power of Pure Presence, where I liken it to the emotional, mental, spiritual place to kind of be in the vacuum, to be in the void a little bit, to create, because if you think about clutter, it's also a thing with the thoughts. So it's a podcast, it's a show, it's called Power of Pure Presence. I love it. It's another confession is it's half for me. I got to be honest, because I love creating this space. Just, sometimes there's just pauses on the show when we're in nature, and it's a beautiful way to just kind of reset. So that's every Sunday at 10 a.m. And I have some great footage that I shared last week up in Concord, Massachusetts, which is the home of Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. We'll share more about that. And then this show's also on the YouTube channel. And so this YouTube video is going to be up there. You can go back and watch it. You can see this again. Maybe you want to hear it. And it's also a podcast. So
and the YouTube channel is Austin J. Haines, Haines.
Yep.
Austin J. Haines.
Thank you. It's at the bottom. So I just want to invite you to stay connected, because I think Star will say the same thing. Community is power. I know she has a thriving community because even though we could share some tips, you need to be accountable. You need to have somebody that's going to keep you guided, and that's not going to bang you over the head, but that's going to keep you in that space that you need so you can move through this process for yourself. And I'm feeling like, gosh, I want to, synergize with you and be able to send people that want to do their reset over, because this is a huge part of doing a life reset. So let me share this, and then we're going to come back with some final wrap up here and shares. And again, feel free to type your questions live or playback. So here's a little upcoming book. So that's Seeds of Infinitude. That's an upcoming book. I'm writing a poetry book, which I'm shocked about that. And also, I want to point to your book, Star, which we just talked about. It's Why the F Am I Still Not Organized? Stop Struggling with Clutter Once and for All. Where can they get that book?
So it's available on Audible and Amazon, but I am gifting your listeners with a free copy. If they go to starhansen.com/podcast, they can get an instant download without having to wait or pay for it. So, thanks. And it's Star Hansen, Hansen.
I already have it. Matter of fact, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this real time. I just love doing it this way, because then people can see it. So if you're on the podcast, come on over. Hold on. Let's go.
And I have a few other little freebies for them too. They also can find out what monster is lurking in their closet that's stopping them from getting organized. I have freebies for days, guys. Because of this, like, I know that this is a really emotional thing. I always say organizing is like open heart surgery through our home, right? It's very deep and emotional and tender. So I know you need to court. I know you need a little romance first. So I have like a whole page of free resources also on my website that you can go to. Once you go to podcast, you can see it there. But you can if you go down to the bottom of the page, Austin, you can see there they are.
Free clutter busting quiz. Yeah. Get a free copy of the book. Uncover the missing piece of the organizing puzzle, and then Chaos to Calm, organizing community. And I know Tony's a big part of your community, and this is great. I love what you're doing. It's and by the way, let me put I'm going to put the podcast, or I'm going to put the link down at the bottom so people can see it, where they can get it. But what are you final tips you might have. And then I'm also going to ask Dr. Andrea if she wants to chime in for any final things that we can extract from your 20 years.
You're going to like extract from my brain. So I think when people are starting out, again, I think we are hard on ourselves. We try to climb mountains that are too big. And so it's just the process of organizing really needs to be just that. It needs to be a process. It should not be this task. I got to do this task and it's done, because it's just like your teeth, right? You don't brush your teeth once and say, all done. Like, no, you got to come back around tonight and do it. And then tomorrow morning, you got to do it and you got to floss and the whole thing. So it's the same thing. This is just hygiene of your home. And it's really, so if our soul is embodied in our body, right? And then that is embodied in our home. Our home is one of the most powerful places, not just for the clutter and how we can detect what's right or wrong or where we're going in our lives, but also like this is your way to kind of brainwash yourself in the best possible sense, meaning that what we surround ourselves with, we become. And yes, you might have clutter, but it doesn't mean you have to clear the whole clutter in order to like make a giant change in your life, curate every room in your house, to set the intention for the life that you want to live right now and experience. I think the biggest thing that I can leave with your listeners is there is something that you perceive that if you are organized, you will experience, right? True love, amazing body, the ability to travel the world, whatever you think it is. Start doing that right now. Stop waiting for the clutter to go away in order to live your best life. Your clutter is going to go away when you're living your best life. Like make space for your life. Stop needing to manage it and deal with the perfectionism. Live your life now that you are waiting for the clutter to go away first. And we really want to do that. That's the most important thing your listeners can do.
Yeah. And I just want to echo, like, this is like the message of power, pure presence. And that's what I'm hearing is like, stop thinking you're here and you need to get there. And then you're living with this constant, I'm here, I need to get there, a constant. And instead of like what you're saying is embody where you are now and begin to make this shift over time, like a growing from the inside out.
And even like, honestly, Austin, too, it's like, so if you, for example, perceive that you can't travel until your house is organized or you can't date, like, I'm sorry, get on a date this week, go on an app and find, like, I mean, do it right now. Don't like, the name of my first business was Carpe Diem, because like life's issues would be non-existent if we just focused on the now and did the now. So like, you want to date? I'm sorry, like extra 50 pounds and all, go on that date. You want to travel? Book. I don't even care if you don't have the money. Book a weekend trip that you can just drive to somewhere interesting within 2 hours of your home and come back the same day. Live the life you think that being organized will give you right now.
Yeah, that's great. I love your passion. I'd love to have you back on again at some point. And I just want to turn it over to Dr. Andrea just to see what you're thinking about all this. And,
well, this so fits with Midlife Oasis, where I'm in my mid 50s and I meet so many friends and they're like moving from, I've retired, or I'm downsizing in my office, or I'm thinking about moving to a different state, and what do I give away and what's important. And today I just talked with a friend. We were talking about different ways to do things. So, and this may be a whole nother show. So there's two things. One, we were talking about like how in a hoarder show, they have them look at things without touching them. But we were thinking, instead of thinking, maybe there is this a touch, and maybe you can have an emotional, like, oh no, everything in that closet doesn't mean anything anymore. And so because you have a knowing, rather than having to look or examine and to tell the story again. It's just a whoop and, a swipe left or right, like a dating app more than anything. And then the other one that I've been looking for somebody for years I had wanted somebody to do a book with me to talk about computer clutter, because we have Google Drives and other drives that are full of clutter. So if you're a person who tends to keep everything in your physical space, I pretty much guarantee that you probably have it on your computer and in your email and everywhere else.
Yes, how we do anything is how we do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I had this download over the weekend because I was with all these academic people. I was near Harvard University. And I thought, how often do we turn our brains into closets? In other words, let me keep this just in case. Let me keep this just in case. And then let me go get that next degree just in case. Let me go get that next course just in case. And then our heads become a storage closet. And that's why I love what you're doing, because it's all connected. And, let me just and before we close, I just want to give some shout outs here to TJ, recurring clutter, guilty. And she's singing your praises here. Star is amazing to getting to the real issues. That's what we're talking about, getting to the root. We talked about that. I hope you're getting that. And I definitely want to encourage you again to connect with Star's content, the free book, the quiz, just to get started, right? It's just like you said, Carpy, start now. Go get the clutter test now. And let's see. Your community is great. And yes, tons of computer clutter. So there you have it. This has been a great episode. Again, this is the beginning. It's a start the process now. And let me go back to, what is your yes now? At the time you're listening to this, what is your yes now? I'm going to suggest you go over to the website, Star's website, which we just put up, and get the free book. Do you have a podcast yourself, Star?
I don't. I frequent podcasts a lot, but yes, I have so many ideas. I have infinity ideas. That's the challenge.
Yeah, and that's another good thing that we could pull up. But yeah, I just want to encourage you to, again, go to starhansen.com, StarHansen/podcast. And Dr. Andrea, is there anything you want to cover for next week? So for next week's show, we got about 3 minutes.
I forget which person I'm having on. I know in the next couple weeks that we're going to be having the founder of the Great Discovery. They have opened up the Six Sigma to everybody. It used to be a learning process that was only for the elite, engineers, and now they have opened that up so everybody in the world can use that for their whole lives and to manage how they behave and act and function in the world. It's beautiful. And another friend of mine is a super connector, Greg Petrie, is going to be on with us in the next couple weeks, and he he makes friends all over the world and does business with them, and we're going to be talking about how do you move your connections into monetization of joint ventures.
And then in August, we're going to have Jay, the empty nest coach.
Nice.
So this is all in line. But next week, so I was up in Concord, Massachusetts for Henry David Thoreau. Well, I got there the day after his birthday. And I had a surreal, miracle after miracle. And we're going to be talking about that next week. I met a gentleman. His name's Peter Alden. The first guy that I met in Concord, Massachusetts. He's a lifetime resident. He still is considered one of the foremost bird authorities in the world. He's written 12 books, over 4 million copies sold. And I happened to meet him. I get invited to the annual Thoreau Society meeting, all because of this poetry book. You know how you're talking about being in alignment and it starts to flow. And so we're going to talk about this next week, but I wanted to serve you, because it's fine if it's good for me, but I wanted to serve you. I want you to get something from this story, to see how when you move in the direction of that miracles can happen. So I'm excited to share this. I got a ton of video. And if you go to the YouTube channel, because I posted stuff up. I was at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. They call it, I got chills. It's called Author's Ridge. Henry David Thoreau, Louisa May Alcott, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and more, all buried up on this ridge in Sleepy Hollow. You go there, it's surreal. It's it's just hard to explain. It's just touching you. So I want to be able to convey some of that to you, to inspire you with these writers from the 1800s, and then obviously the book that I'm working on. So I'm excited to share that.
Going to be amazing.
All right. On that note, that silence is it's time to exit. Star, you can hang on so we can chat after the show here for a minute. But I just want to thank everybody again. Connect with Star, connect with the podcast. Dr. Andre, you want to do the honors to close us out?
Yes, don't forget to please remember to hashtag Midlife Oasis, Flashpoint, and Power of Pure Presence and Austin J. Haines show. And we've had so much fun here. Star's been amazing. AustinJHaines.com is the place you go where you can find out more about how to join him in Costa Rica for his Midlife Oasis getaway trip. So many more fun things in store. And we'll see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll send out the link. So be sure to look for us on YouTube.
And connect with you from the Red Carpet Connection if you want publicity and much more. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.